Hi, everybody. Merry Christmas and welcome to the Hallmark podcast. We are here to recap two of this weekend's movies. This week, we're kind of dividing it up this weekend, a bunch of different episodes. And we have Miss Christmas Comes to Town and Joyeux Noel that we are talking about. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and Marissa Serafini's here.
Hello, Rachel. Hello, Hallmarkies. We're back once again. More Christmas movies.
Back from the preview. Now we're watching them. We're recapping them. And how was it? This was kind of fun. Halloween weekend. Get to watch some Christmas movies.
Absolutely. I did nothing Halloweenish and did everything Christmas. I watched like 9 Christmas movies over the course of 3 days. So I'm like fully back into the Christmas mode. And the fact that I've been wearing my Santa hat twice before Halloween shows like how much I'm more into Christmas than I am into
you're true holidays. A true Hallmarky.
Yeah. I like to think so.
It was fun. I mean, I actually got, because a lot of times I end up just wearing my Halloween costume on like stuff I'm filming and things like that. I don't actually get to go anywhere, especially the last couple of years. But this year I have started working as a debate judge for a friend who has kids in high school debate, and so he was like, would you like, I was looking for some work, and anyway, and so they were encouraging the judges to dress up this weekend, and so I went as a hippie.
Nice.
Yeah,
like
so that
granola hippie to the earth.
Yeah, because I figured like
awesome.
You wouldn't want anything like too weird, as a judge. You still want to look presentable. So that was my costume. But it was actually super fun. I was really impressed with the kids. I enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed hearing their arguments. So I really liked it. I was like, maybe I missed my calling. I should have done debate.
Maybe. I know. Like, I do enjoy dressing up everyone's, but it's so much work. And I was like, I still have enough time. I'm still thinking about it. Riho's right there. I'm like, am I too young to be like thinking maybe I should miss out? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of times the costumes are really uncomfortable, and especially if you're going to be somewhere all day. Like, that's why I rarely do cosplay for Fan X or cons or D23 or whatever. It's just like, I don't want to be at the con all uncomfortable all day.
Right. It's a lot of work, but kudos to those who love doing it. But like, when I do it, I have to like fully commit, but I have to properly schedule the time to do it.
Yeah,
and
it just has to be.
I'm not one of those people that can whip something up in 2 days.
It just has to be a costume that's like comfy costume.
Yeah,
like very
minimalist.
For me.
I'm a minimalist to the max.
Well, it's interesting that we're talking about costumes because I have something to say about the costuming in one of our shows. We're talking about that, but let's dive in. Let's talk about it. So we have Miss Christmas Comes to Town. It's the first one we're going to talk about. This was the premiere for Miracles of Christmas on Movies and Mysteries. And it stars Erica Durance, Brennan Elliott, and Barbara Niven. Director Jason Brooke Darnam is the writer. And a shopping channel host known as Miss Christmas receives a terminal diagnosis, which inspires a multi-city excursion set to spread Christmas cheer before her farewell broadcast. So overall, what did you think of this movie?
Overall, I think that when we discussed in the preview, I was like, I already like the concept.
Yeah, you give it a diamond ring.
I did. That was my first time. And I loved the cast. It seemed like an easy storyline. And it was one of those I had high expectations for, and it hit it. I was like, all right, we are off to a solid, strong start for the Movies and Mysteries. And it did not disappoint. Honestly, I loved it. I wanted to love it, and I did love it.
Yeah, I overall enjoyed it. I have a couple more nitpicky things to talk about, but that I talked about on social media. But as far as the story, I thought it was very effective and really more about friendship than about romance. There were 2 romances in the story, but it was really the core was about this friendship, basically a mother-daughter relationship between Barbara Niven's character, I think her name was Gail, and Erica's character, I forget her name. And their friendship and relationship was very sweet, and I was very glad that once the lie became exposed, she was like a little hurt, but she was mostly upset about the fact that her friend was going to be dying, like
Right.
the whole time I was like kind of cringing and like, oh, she's gonna be like, why did you lie to me, and all of that kind of a thing, but she got over that pretty quick. She was just like, I understand why you had, certainly with him, she understood
Right.
why he had to respect. So she understood that. And but her main priority and focus was on sadness about what they were lying about, not about the lie. And I was glad to see that, because she just was, I think she could have been a kind of selfish, because sometimes even when sad things happen, we do kind of turn selfish. We make it about us.
Right. What's wrong with me that you couldn't tell me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not really what she did. Like she had little tiny moments, but she got over them quick, and her focus was on her friend. And I thought she was a pretty unselfish, sweet character.
I agree. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, my thing was like I loved how yes, she was upset. We had one commercial break and then the very next morning in the very next
Hmm.
scene she's like, "Okay, I understand why you didn't tell me." I think it
Yeah.
was more so just like being that initial knee jerk reaction like, "Oh,
Hmm.
I thought our relationship was strong enough that you couldn't tell me everything."
Yeah.
But the fact that you didn't also hurts. And was it lying or more so admittance of truth? And,
Yeah.
and that's where like the fine line is
But
because it's not like
yeah, even
he
that
like
though,
straight up
there
lied.
was
They
really just
they
the one conversation, and then she was focused on her
right.
friend and making the time that they had valuable. It really, she didn't, I was just afraid that she was going to make that more of a big deal than she did, and I just thought the screenplay handled that well. And but I loved, I mean, getting back to the beginning, I thought the meet cute was really fun. This like blind date, she sits
Blind
down,
date.
starts chatting up Brendan Elliott, and
Have
turns
you ever
out
been on a
is
blind date? I was like, first of all, if you're
yeah,
blind dating, you properly introduce yourself and you
yeah,
ask,
you make
"Hey, are
sure,
you the person I'm here to see?"
yeah.
You don't just assume. I mean, come on,
Yeah.
girl. Amanda, get your act together.
But it was funny, and I liked when he's like, every day an enchanting woman like yourself introduces herself to me.
Yeah.
It's cute.
I
I thought that
was like,
Brendan
"Really?
Elliott was
Really? Come
really
on,
good
man."
in this.
I
I
love him.
I
Yeah.
normally do. He's been off a little bit the last couple movies. He did one where he it was kind of supposed to be sort of a Sweet Home Alabama type thing where him and can't think of her name, where and the woman were Amanda Schul. Him and Amanda Schul had been
Mhm.
married, but they hadn't actually gotten married. And I found his character really annoying in that one. And then he was in one with Allison Sweeney last year that wasn't his fault, but I just didn't care for it. It wasn't for me. That one also had Erica Durance, which
With
I just
Erica.
I didn't
I
care
actually
for it.
enjoy that one.
I didn't care for it, but it wasn't his fault. But I don't know. He just hasn't won really much, like really won for me for a little bit. But this I thought was the most charming he's been in a long time.
Okay. I was like, I mean, he was also in Gift of Peace last year.
Oh, that's
Also
true. I
very
forgot about that
charming in
one.
that one too.
That's
I
true.
don't know. All the ones that I've seen him, he's usually the nice, charming one. I just keep thinking like All My Love and the All My Heart,
Oh,
the
my
one
heart. Yeah. The
series
first one,
with
especially.
Lacey. Yeah. So like I don't know. I think of him in that way. So
That's
he's always
true about
charming
Gift of
to me.
Peace. That one was less of a romance, though. I
Right.
mean,
More
but
drama, but still like
yeah,
a
but
charming dude.
I think this is, nevertheless, even he's had some good stuff. I do think this is the most charming, charismatic he's been, for me at least, in a while.
Yeah, and what I loved about his character is that he was also very understanding too. For in
Yeah,
both situations, like
yeah,
once the secret got out, he immediately already felt bad. He's like, "I'm
hmm,
so sorry. I know what this is gonna do.
yeah.
Please don't hate
Well,
me."
because
It's
he's
also
in
like
like a
he's very
tough,
aware.
yeah, because he's in a tough spot because he
Right.
legally cannot tell her. Like, it's
Hmm.
not like he can be like, hint, hint. He
Right.
can't. Like, that would be breaking HIPAA. He can't tell the medical history of the medical situation of a patient. He can't. So
Yeah.
he has to lie to her. He can't.
Yeah.
And so it's a tricky situation. I mean, I guess I understand why she wanted to just have this Christmas tour, but it does feel like the kind of thing that is destined to backfire, lying
Um,
like this.
I mean, yeah, my thing was like we'll hear your nitpicks on a certain subject. My
Yeah,
nitpick
yeah.
was actually about the secret and the quote unquote lack there of discretion.
Mhm.
Because they're having all these what they're supposed to be private conversations and the wide open public. Like the
Mm.
actual stage crew is walking in the background. Like, have you ever been
That's
on set?
true.
People can hear everything. And if they're not talking to you in person, they're talking to you in your ear.
That's
Like
a
there are
good
a
point.
million voices. People are
Especially
constantly
live
talking.
broadcasts like that.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
my thing is like, there are so many times they're like, okay, we can't know that you're here or why you're here, while there's people standing in the background. And then the other lady is like, oh, we're doing this for your health. But
Yeah.
then like they're doing it in open offices. They never lock the door. There were so many moments. I'm like, you're supposed to be like really private about this, but you're like so nonchalant about just
Yeah.
talking about it in front of everybody.
Well, the
Like,
thing that I felt like is I didn't think there was any reason that they needed to lie about him being a nurse. Like she's a senior citizen, like she could need a nurse for a variety of reasons. They could just lie about the fact that she has a terminal diagnosis. They don't need to tell that. There's no reason to say that he's not a nurse.
right,
Like
or just like
just
on-call nurse
part of being
for
on a
for
tour is to
the
have a nurse,
entire production crew. Yeah, on-call
Yeah.
nurse. Like, that's actually way more believable when it comes to production.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
Also, like, not to like jump ahead, but when she collapses in the market, and then
Mhm.
he's like, oh, and they're calling 911, and
Yeah.
he literally says her entire diagnosis out in front of everybody, be like, oh, it's for this condition. I was like, girl,
Right.
that's something that like you actually now need to have a press release. The public knows about this. Where was social media
Right.
blowing up about this? Like
That's
they were
true.
not secretive about this whatsoever. That bothered me more
Yeah.
than anything.
Yeah. That is a fair point. And
That's really
and
my only gripe. And I wouldn't even really say gripe because I really did love this movie.
Yeah.
But I was like, you're trying to be quiet about this?
Mhm.
Yeah, you're not.
But the friendship between Erica and Barbara felt very real and genuine. And I almost didn't even need Brennan's character. He was good in it, like I said, but I just thought that they were really strong. And it felt like, okay, these two people are friends in real life.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that it shows that they have worked together before.
Yeah.
And the chemistry was good because, honestly,
It's
when I
true.
saw those two in last year's movie, the one with the, why am I blanking on the name? That is it We Needed? No. I'm thinking of Erica's last year's.
Well, because they
movie.
were in the one with the plane crash together with the one that had Kimberly Sested and
Yeah, North
yeah.
Home. Also with Barbara Niven.
Yeah, they were in that one together.
See,
Yeah.
also with Barbara Niven. So, like, you
Yeah.
see, I love how this cast is like they're working together. You can tell that they
Yeah,
like working
that's
with
true.
each other. And like, I just gotta say, I think I said years ago, being such a big fan of Erica Durance, the fact that she's doing Hallmark movies now,
Mhm.
again, consistently, that's just like wish fulfillment.
Yeah.
And now she's getting movies every year. Like, yes, let's go.
Yeah.
She's in the Hallmark community. I love it. I love it so
Mhm.
much. And so to see her with Barbara and Brennan, who I already love, from previous work. I was like, yes, for it.
You needed a strong ensemble, and they got a strong ensemble here. Yeah, you really did. And I also thought Mark Brandon playing James, I think was the name, the love interest, he was great. He was he knew his job. He came in, he was very swoon worthy. He was very romantic. They had great chemistry. I thought he was really good.
Yeah, and he was persistent when he needed to be. But he wasn't stubborn when he wasn't like showing up when he wasn't unwanted, so like I did love that, and I love how like we slowly brought him along, like, oh hey, this is the next town we're gonna be in if you want another shot with her, so like, and I did love that. And the whole second chance romance, I think we're all suckers for it too. So
yes. It was very sweet, and the whole idea that, well, we're gonna make our time matter, we're gonna make the time that we have, even if it's only a year, maybe 2 years, we're gonna make it matter. It was great. Yeah, it was really good. So my little nitpicks, I'll just like say it. So this is obviously completely subjective and just my personal taste, but I just did not care for some of the costuming decisions in this movie. I found them distracting. I really hated most of the clothes that they gave Erica to wear. She's beautiful. Absolutely.
She's beautiful.
Absolutely.
It did disservice to her beauty.
I hated both of the skirts that they gave her. I kind of joked on Twitter that it looked like they were dressing her like a Von Trapp child. Like I hated these like really short jackets that they had her. And it just wasn't flattering. It like the skirts were really bulky and they had these big pleats. And so they made her look really hippie, and she's not. And I just hated the clothes. They were like a weird length. They were like mid thigh, which isn't flattering on most women. Most women look better on either short or long. And I really don't know what they were doing. I was joking on Twitter that I was like, was there some kind of like, did she lose a bet or something? Like, why were they dressing her this way? She's supposed to be on camera. She's supposed to be like, you'd think, relatively trendy. Like, I just don't understand. Like, it was so strange, and maybe I don't know, I just don't get it. I thought, and then the other thing was, I thought that the way they styled Barbara Niven's hair was very weird. They had it was very like messy and all over the place, and this kind of, and like, she's a professional on-screen Miss Christmas. Like, she would not have her hair like like, I just didn't understand it. I was like,
the wind.
What is going on with the hair and makeup and costuming in this movie? Like, she would be way more like put together, and I don't know. I just found stuff like that actually distracting, because I was just like, what? Why? Because those things do impact the characters, like what they're wearing and how their hair is done and things like that. And it wasn't like a deal breaker or anything, but it was, I thought, very strange, and I don't understand why they made the choices they did for this movie.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't even really focus on that, but being, you and I both being on camera personalities at our most of our lives, is that also, it's just like there's a certain presentability now. So it's like when it comes to hair and makeup, and like, it's also called a hairspray. Hairspray, a lot of gel clips, there's a lot going on that people don't know. But I kind of agree with the clothes. When I look back at it after the fact, and you mentioned it, I was like, oh, it looks like it was a weird cut, mostly because it looked like clothes you would wear like costume plays, like in theater. That's not like, you can tell that that's like a recycled clothes that's from like the previous cast.
Like, if she was playing like Baroness Schrader, maybe. Like, I just didn't understand the clothes.
I don't know. Yeah, it just, I'm like, you can't wear nice professional clothes. It's like, I mean, you all you have to do is go to like Marshall's or JCPenney's, get a nice outfit, and call it a day. I don't know. Maybe they were trying to like go for a Miss Christmas helpers kind of background look.
I just didn't understand it. I thought that it was just not flattering. I just didn't. I don't know. I would love to know if anybody that knows happens to be listening. I'm just curious, what was the reason?
I don't think the clothes were the greatest at all. And even not even the, on cameras, like the jeggings, I don't know. Big and I'm not a fashion person whatsoever. But as a woman, I just think jeggings are awful.
Not my favorite.
And they do not, show off the female form in the best way at all. So I'm just like, and I love Erica, and she was in jeggings, but she wasn't in an outfit, a terrible outfit. She was in jeggings so throughout the rest of the movie. I'm like, girl, what are you doing?
What is happening? I mean,
I guess Erica, but like, no.
I guess Brendan had the best clothes of the group. He had that red suit, which was fine. Which was
suave
fun.
and dapper. Loved it. It. You know what? Erica should have had that, and she would have rocked it too.
And I did think it was funny, since I was so focused on the hair and makeup and clothes. It was kind of funny when they get him in the trailer and they're like, "We've got to cut some of this hair."
Yeah, I was like,
take a little off the top.
First of all, you don't really do that when it comes to hair. Like, they actually hate when that happens because their hairstylist, not your barber.
Right.
But also, my thing is like during the presentation when they're like making cookies or donuts, whatever. I was like, those are really nice clothes, and you're ruining them. I was like, you're gonna get like food all over them. But I was like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, there were fun scenes, like when they're making those the rolls, and when they asked Gail to judge their cookies. They've got peanut mice and gingerbread cookies. That was funny. She says they're tied. And that reminded me of my parents. We used to do these cooking contests, and it was one of my favorite memories of childhood was these cooking contests my siblings and I would do. And my parents would never give a winner. They would always say they would never.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun.
Nice.
I also liked that scene with Brendan Elliott and Eric Durance in the flirty photo booth.
Yes. Yeah.
That was
I
fun.
mean, you kind of had to have a moment. And you're slowly building. It's like, they're getting along. And my question is, the first time, like, we did get an early kiss in this movie. I'm like,
that's what I was gonna say. A great line. Whoever wrote this movie. Right. The line of the theory of missed kisses. So many things had to happen for us to end up at this moment right here. And I was just waiting for some person to come with a boom mic or whatever and interrupt them so they wouldn't get to kiss. But no.
Right. They kissed. But also now my question is, actually, when we had their first kiss, I was like, was I this tired? I don't know. You're gonna have to call me out if I missed this. But I was like, was there a moment where they were gonna kiss and it didn't happen? Did I miss that? Did I literally miss their missed kiss? Because that seems so, like, I wouldn't say random,
I don't think they had. So they had their meet cute, and a couple of I don't think they had a near kiss
where they could have kissed.
But I could have.
And then when they finally did kiss, they're like,
through my notes.
Let's not miss it.
Because Barbara Niven did say that it's obvious that boy likes you.
Right.
And she's like, I don't think he kiss. And she's like, oh, it was so humiliating. I'm like, it wasn't that humiliating. It was cute. It was funny. Like, she was so embarrassed about that meetup. It's funny. But I did like that he makes Christmas cacciatore. That was fun.
Yeah. I was like, all right, very helpful. Not just the nice.
Well, they're doing a really good job this year in this season's movies. Almost every movie so far has something fresh that I like, a tradition that I've never heard of, or a food that I haven't heard of, or something. And that's hard to do, especially when you've seen as many of these movies as I have. So I do think that's pretty. Sometimes it's just like a little thing, like in the checking it twice, the fishing activity with the fish ornaments and fish hooks. Like just little things that it makes it fun. It makes it and so Christmas cacciatore was new.
It makes it fresh.
Yeah, it was cute. We'd like to thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's Rachel Fordham and her new book, The Letter Tree. As much as we'd love a long, drawn-out romance that spans many seasons, sometimes we are ready for a happily ever after right now. Rachel Fordham is author of 6 published novels with more on the way. They will transport you to another time, fill your heart, and leave you eager for more. Grab a copy of her latest novel, The Letter Tree, today, wherever you purchase books, or use our affiliate link below, and see why so many Hallmarkies have fallen in love with her sigh-worthy stories. That's Rachel Fordham and The Letter Tree. So Mark Brandon shows up there with flowers, and then she refuses the date. And he's basically like, I'm not going anywhere.
Right. It's like, you got rid of me once. I'm not going out with that fight.
And he was just the best, I thought. He was so charming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really love that. I don't even, we know that those two have worked together before. So it's like all previous, relationships, friendships, established on-screen chemistry is already there. So I think that's why this cast definitely worked together.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. They put him in the red suit, and there's like, you can never have too much Christmas. Because all of his outfit, he gets put in the suit because all of his outfits are scrubs.
Yeah.
Which I believe. Like, I believe that a single doctor like him would probably not have that much civilian clothes. Right. Or nurse.
And they're on a trailer too, like a trailer bus. I mean, so
well, and that was cute too. After the kiss, and she's like, "Oh, I live here too.
You live here too." It's like, cute. Yeah, your wardrobe's gonna be fairly limited.
Yeah, that was cute. That was funny. Oh yeah, I live here too. I forgot you live here. But then this is when she finds his binder, so she uncovers everything and she confronts them. And that's when Barbara Niven says that she has a brain tumor. And she says, because I didn't want to tell you because telling you makes it real. And I don't want to be treated any differently. And then Erica says, this isn't fair. I'm not ready to lose you. And then Barbara says, I've had the most wonderful life, and knowing you has been the best part of it. It was very sweet.
Right. Oh, God. And I can just I can hear Barbara saying it to me, I love Barbara.
Barbara is wonderful.
She really is that sweet. And, because you and I have both had multiple chances to talk to her one-on-one. And she really is that kind of person.
Yeah, she really is.
I feel like that wasn't scripted. I feel like that was straight from Barbara.
The first time that I had,
very believable.
Yeah, the first time I interviewed her, I ended up crying because we started talking about this really hard time in my life and how I'd gotten through it and things I'd learned. And it was just like this therapy session. It was the podcast. She was great, and I love
her.
Yeah, that is her. She really is wonderful. And she when she says in this that sometimes the family you choose is more important than the family you were born into. And that was just lovely message.
Agreed wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, that was Christmas feels. And so then he apologizes, and so she's like, oh, I understand what you had to do. So I was like, oh, good, she's not going to be terrible. We are all in this together, so let's make every moment count. And I did think, it was corny, but I did really like the line. She did this on camera when she's selling the brooch. And she's like, we all want to keep Christmas with us all year long. And now you can honor Christmas by keeping it close to your heart. I was like, I would buy that brooch.
Yep. She's the saleswoman. That's why she's Miss Christmas. That's why we're doing it. I was like, girl can work on QVC any day. I was like, yep. You'll sign me up for 2.
Yeah. She sold out in 2 minutes. I'm like, yep, that tracks.
That was a record.
Yeah. But then she passes out, and James is there in the hospital, and he's like, this hospital is not festive enough. And he brings flowers in, and it's cute. And he's like, it's important that we make the time we have count.
Yeah.
What could be better than spending Christmas with Miss Christmas?
Yeah. I love that James was there too, because it wasn't just, her coworkers, it was also just like the people that actually love her.
Yeah.
Surrounded by family and friends in that way. So it's nice.
Yeah. And so then Barbara Niven gives Erica a charm bracelet. I think it was like a Pandora charm bracelet.
Yeah, it looked like one of those Pandora.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, we should bring those back. I miss when they were
sweet.
Trendy.
Yeah.
It was very sweet, but also like very in character to Gail, and like a very traditionalist. Like they love doing that, doing the tour every year, or just doing the show every year and having the same people over and over again. So like it was very in character.
Yeah. And so Erica's going to have to do the broadcast because she's in the hospital. Miss Christmas is in the hospital, but they have a live feed. So she's there in her ear talking to her, and it was very sweet. And she gives her a note, really encouraging, sweet note. And then James says, don't give up on her. And Erica does the broadcast, and very sweet. And the couples are coupled up for Christmas. And this Christmas, never be too grown up to believe in Christmas magic.
Oh,
so very sweet, very sweet.
Can we mention that I loved how Miss Christmas passed on her signature wink to to Miss Holiday. So like, and I love that, and that was like a recurring thing that was like so little, but also it just shows like how much they do work with each other, and how much like their mannerisms kind of like got passed on to Amanda. So like I did love that. It's like, you still have like a spirit of
it really was a family. It wasn't just a working relationship. It was a mother-daughter relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I would give this one like a 3.75 out of 5.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd watch it again.
Yeah, I mean, I've already watched it like 1.5 times. Definitely planning. Like I was like, because I have this movie recorded, and I was like, I'm gonna keep this one for
you do have to prize your DVR space.
I know, but this one is kind of in priority. So I was like, no, I'm gonna keep this one for a while. I'm definitely gonna rewatch it. I loved everybody. I wanted to love this one, and I did. Okay. And I'd have to say, I'm gonna give it high. I'm gonna give it like 4.5 out of 5.
Nice.
Because
good.
Really my only nitpick was the lack of discretion, but we knew the secret was gonna get out somehow.
Yeah.
So, like, it wasn't really that surprising, but it's just like, if you wanted to be more discreet about it, you would have tried harder.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
All right. Well, let's talk about Joyeux Noel. And I'm sorry if I'm not saying that right. I don't speak French.
Me neither.
This is directed by Jessica Harmon, written by Kim Daughtry, wife of Brant Daughtry. So that's fun. And it's when a romantic painting of a Christmas market captures the imagination of a copy editor, Leah, she is sent to France with pragmatic reporter Mark to uncover the mystery behind the artist. So overall, what do you think of this one?
honestly, I thought it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like a lot of bait and switch. It did not
Mm-hmm.
feel like an artist movie. I think I showed my interest in this movie because I thought they were gonna like follow an artist and a painting, and it ended up being totally not that at all. I'm like, all
That's
right, where's
fair.
the artistry?
Right.
Overall, like scavenger hunt, like I love how like Hallmark has found its rhythm with, oh, let's do a mystery kind of story that keeps the story going.
Yeah.
So we've been seeing that a lot in the last few years, and we definitely got the scavenger hunt in this one. But it was like it felt like a complete bait and switch to me. And I was like, I know this is a French movie, but I was like, call it Les Mis. But because I mean, Moody Mark, come on.
Well, see, there were things that maybe were slightly benefited by somewhat low expectations. I can't remember if I gave this a cold, but I think I gave it like a sock at least about this because I have to, a lot of times those mystery movies don't really do it for me. Like I feel like a lot of them are trying to be signed, sealed, delivered, but they don't have the good writing that Martha Williamson brings to the table. Like they'll be trying to like research a letter or a painting or a ring or a bracelet and a lot of times those are just really boring to me. So this one to me sounded boring on the description. So
honestly, it was.
There were things that were better than I expected about it. Also, I have been mixed about Brandt as a leading man. I'm sure he's a super nice person, just my particular taste. I found he struggles to get chemistry with his co-stars. And so I was pleasantly surprised in this movie. I think that he is the best when he's allowed to be funny, allowed to be like a little bit sort of silly. And when he's doing things like at that one moment where he kind of kicks up his heels and he I've got it written down, but he's like, well, maybe you don't know me as well as you think. And then maybe I am charming just when it suits me. And then he clicks his heels and he kind of moves. Like moments like that. I was like, this is good. He's charming. He is charming. He was funny. I thought that he was endearing. I do not think they had, again, I think he struggled with chemistry. I don't think that, like, I almost didn't even need them to get together at the end. Like would have been okay with it just being a friendship story.
Same. But I didn't like their kiss at the end either.
Yeah,
like, you really didn't need it. It didn't add anything.
Yeah. And it's weird because even in the movie when he's acting with his wife, like I don't think I've ever seen him where I felt like, oh, it's really, really working for me with him. I don't know why. But I do love JC, and I do think they missed out on an opportunity because JC was raised in France. She speaks French. She knows, like, they could have used her background like way more in the movie, I think, and it could have been like interesting and as a part of her character, but they didn't. But I still thought that she was really good. I liked her character. I liked her performance. I'm excited that she's become a regular thing on Hallmark Channel.
Yeah, I think it's really good. I mean, I liked her in Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah,
and that's really like the only thing I know her other than Hallmark now.
Yeah,
I liked her, and I liked how we had this like contrasting levels of experience when it came to reporting. Like she's the writer, new to the field, and he's been out in the field literally for years, and he's all bitter about it and jaded and stuff. It's like, so you have like these two different levels opposing each other and stuff. So like I loved how it's like, all right, we got experience meets green. Of course that's where they butt heads all the time, but like eventually they got to like a level of like, all right, maybe we can both do this.
I loved all the reporting stuff once they got there, but everything in the newsroom was completely ridiculous and insane. Like the fact that this news editor would be like would be like, I just thought it was so funny when someone's like, we could do a piece on the soup kitchen, and she's like, nah, where's the heart in that? There's no
right. I'm not like, again with the self-awareness of Hallmark, it was like, what about the guy who moves back to town and, like
I died laughing. I was like, Jesus, what about the woman from the city who moves to the country and then works in the soup kitchen?
We're like, yeah, I would watch that. I'd read that story.
This news editor is they got to send 2 reporters for what are they there for, like 10 days? It was a long trip.
That was a long
And
trip.
just to get this big story that's going to change the publication. It was ridiculous, but funny, but very funny. Very funny. And but I loved Moody Mark. I thought that really worked. Was very cute. And like I said, considering maybe it did help that I had low expectations for him, I thought that he was pretty charming in this movie.
Yeah, I think it's like once we got past that jadedness from him, and like the explanation why he's Moody Mark, that like he actually brought it upon himself. He called himself just to avoid people. I was like, I get you, dude. I really do. But also it's just like once you kind of like he shed those layers and stuff, like, oh no, he's actually a good guy. He's tired. He's worn out. He's just like he is the walking definition of someone burnt out in the field. I get
But I thought the grumpy curmudgeon was kind of funny.
Yeah.
I enjoyed
like,
that. I thought it was
also,
sort of funny, his sarcastic remarks and his like.
Yeah. But you know what was a good balance to that? The kids.
Yeah.
I think
Sophie.
the young girl, Sophie was great. And then all the kids in the street pointing and throwing snow at him and kicking him. I think that was like a good balance that kind of like helps him ease. Like, why am I? It was like, am I that grumpy? Do kids really hate me? You know, I think that was like a good next step to being like, all right, I'm not as terrible as people think I am.
So speaking of traditions I've never heard of, again in this movie, La Pierre Foutard, this person who accompanies Santa and I guess whips the children.
That's very funny.
And so the kids go up to him and kick him in the shins. It was really funny. It made me laugh.
Is this real? I was like, if it is, that's hilarious.
I looked it up. It's real. It's real.
Oh my gosh.
And so I like that. I'm a really big fan of that this season. That Hallmark is, I don't know if it's intentional or just by chance. So far the movies have every single one has had at least one moment that's had something different, something fresh, something new. And this was that for this. And I thought it was really funny. And I also liked when they both figured out that they were UN nerds, model UN nerds. That was cute. That was funny.
In the reports on proliferation.
And then, there's little stops along the way. They meet Bernard, who's the woodcutter, and then Marguerite, and they kind of hook them both up. And then I also thought it was funny the way that I thought the script was pretty well done in the way that she kept correcting his grammar because she's an editor. It's like, that makes sense. And that was funny. And then finally, when he at the end corrects her grammar, and it was kind of cute and funny. So I thought that was good. I thought it was a well-written script. If I were Hallmark, I would be like, okay, you can keep writing for us.
Yeah, pretty solid. I definitely agreed. And I like the fact that, yes, it was a French movie, but like they didn't have to keep dropping the fact that they're in a different, country. And I did like that. It wasn't like over our heads with it, like constantly reminding us. I think it was like every time when they're trying to learn French or they're trying to explain what a word is and stuff. I did like that.
It had whimsy in the location, but it didn't get bogged down in it. It wasn't, because a lot of times the location movies can be kind of boring to me. Yeah, they can be kind of like, because they're so like excited about the place that they forget to tell like a good story. And this at its core was a pretty cute story. Not only the story putting all of the pieces together of this love story, this past love story, but also just the enemies to lovers back and forth between the two of them was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And they did use the location fairly well. Like, you had the carousel, you had the church, you had the door that is like easily missable. So like they did use their environment.
That's true. It wasn't like so easy. And it almost had sort of, obviously not on this level, but it kind of reminded me just a little bit of something like His Girl Friday or the Philadelphia Story, or sort of those old
I love
school,
both of them.
where there's that banter between, because both and His Girl Friday, they're both newspaper people and they're both trying to get the story and everything, and the banter back and forth, and so
lines a second.
And And he explains why he's Moody Mark. He says, I spent a lot of time over the years telling stories for people who were capable of telling their own. After all that, coming back to the office, small talk felt superficial. So I became Moody Mark. And he said, people don't bother Moody Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Which is good.
Like,
They
I
let
think
me
there's an
come and go
easier
to do my
way
work.
to
It's
avoid
easier that
people.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm an introvert myself too, but like, and I think there are nicer ways to avoid people rather
Mhm.
than like create a bad term
Mhm.
that's reflecting you, you know.
Yeah. But I
But
think that like office life can make you into a different person. It can make you it's just a weird environment, I think. I
no,
mean,
I get it.
I
I
thankfully
work in
haven't.
an office. Yeah. But I actually have the office that everybody loves coming to.
Mhm.
Like I'm the room that people will come in and like hang out for 20 minutes because they want to get away from their rooms.
That's
So like
good.
although I'm the introvert, at least I know I'm the person that people would rather talk to.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Yeah.
I maybe I just give off of that energy of be like, yeah, sure, come hide with me,
Yeah.
because
But
I'm
also
constantly hiding from people.
Yeah, but also like she's from this very warm family, and he's from this divorced family where he wasn't shown a lot of love. There was like enough reasons to understand why he would be kind of reserved. And then sort of her role and she wasn't too like manic pixie dream girl. Yeah, like he came out of things, like you said, when he was like clicking his heels, or when he's like, he came to things on his own. It wasn't just like, my role in this movie is to make you happy, which I don't like. He, like, whether it was interactions with Sophie, whether it was his like getting involved in the story and becoming this person, I felt like I just was impressed with him. I thought that he gave a good performance. I thought he was funny. I thought he was charming. And yeah, maybe he didn't have the best chemistry with JC, but it was good enough. And I just thought that, okay, I'm finally seeing it. I'm finally seeing the leading man that in him. And I don't know, maybe it helped that, he and his wife wrote it so he could make it really personal. But this is a small detail, but I really appreciated it. So he starts out the movie being this, this curmudgeon who's not he's not celebrating Christmas, all this stuff. And a lot of times in the past, even characters like that would inexplicably have decorations in their apartment in Hallmark movies. Even characters that were like outright Scrooges, it makes no sense that they would have Christmas decor. But in this movie, when he's packing up and saying goodbye to his dog, and no Christmas decorations in his apartment, not one. And I was like, oh, see, they're paying attention to the details, because it would make absolutely no sense for his character with how busy he is and what his feelings are. It would make no sense for him to have a Christmas tree, for instance. And he doesn't. And of course, she has everything, all that.
Yeah.
And and so I thought, it was just a little detail, but I'm like, okay, good. That's progress.
Yeah. And it's like slowly we saw the layers being peeled back from him, especially with the recurring running joke of the gnomes.
Yeah, that was
I
funny.
like that with Sophie, like tying his shoes in the salt, and if you don't leave something out for the gnomes, they're gonna get you. So like there was a playfulness to his character that he was willing to, loosen up a bit, and I think it was like the kids really did help with this.
Yeah.
If it wasn't JC, it was the kids that'd be like, okay, yeah.
I did think it was kind of funny that they got the smallest carousel in the history of the world for this movie.
It was so small.
Carousel? It was so small.
I thought so too. I'm like, is that a carousel? Because like I'm pretty sure carousel has like 2 different levels, but call me crazy.
That was funny. but I did like the scene when they go to the cookie vendor, and it's at first she's just like, oh well, we're not gonna get any information from this guy, and he's like, they end up buying like 15 cookies.
Yeah, and like 75, 80 euros worth. He's like, I'm gonna get this cookie. Oh, well, we should also get another cookie. I like it, and I loved how the fact that like they did have the montages a little bit, whether it be the voiceover montage of them interviewing a bunch of people just trying to get answers, but also I think I have to ask you at the end, did you like how they explained the mystery?
Yeah,
Because it was all
so
voiceover.
he finds the note in the church, and that scene in the church was hilarious. She's like asking,
That
"Who's that?"
was
That's baby
There's a
Jesus.
sheep.
That's a sheep.
That's another sheep. Like, thank you. I didn't know that animal.
That was really
That
funny.
was great.
But so he finds the note, and he doesn't want her to be disappointed that this, because the myth of the place of La Marshal Noel is that you will see your true love there, and you will find your true love. You will know, and they both had read this book as a child that was part of this as well. And so he didn't want her to be disappointed, and so he keeps it from her. And then she's really upset because when she finds out, she's really upset because she says, I'm a journalist, and more than anything, I want the truth. And that you'd rather be a jaded reporter than be honest. And he says, expect the worst. It's always the worst.
It's always the worst. Well, I mean, yeah, unfortunate, but I like the fact that she calls him out. Like, dude.
Yeah.
And like and somehow it got to the point where he didn't care anything about her or like her happiness. And then the one thing that would actually disappoint her, he's like, "Oh, I didn't want to break her heart. Let me be nice."
Yeah,
like,
and then
that's a quick change.
And then he's talking to Sophie and says, "You and Leah make a good team." And he says, "I do smile more. I do smile more when I'm with her." That was really cute.
Yeah.
And
see,
so
I love when kids know more.
Yeah,
kids
yeah,
always
it's
know.
cute. And so they basically they figured out that, well, so she has this conversation with her mom, and her mom's like, "We had problems like any couple, but I kept, because your father had passed away, I kept only really talking about the good times. I didn't talk about any of the bad times." And so that was that was a good moment. She sort of realizes, and she says, "Who needs a fairy tale when you can have something real?" And so and he apologizes. He's sorry, I lied to you. You were a good reporter. And he says, "I got so used to being Moody Mark and shutting people out that I forgot what it's like to let people in. I'm finally ready to let go of Moody Mark," which was cute, I thought.
Like, good. He's coming around. But also I think it also shows that she finally got to him in a good way, that he finally was like, all right, no, because even her ways of trying to get answers, like they were just talking to random people trying to get answers and getting nowhere, but then like you change the method of how you get answers, and like it was actually working. So it's like, and then I think that was when he like started to finally respect her, like, oh no, wait, your ways are more effective, so let's go this way.
And so then she says, "I shouldn't have clung so tightly to some ideal. I was blind to what was real. Thanks for showing me how to do the job." So it was cute. And then she realizes that who the paint, because we haven't really talked about the painting. So there's this painting. She finds the diary in the music box for the painting, for the painter, and then she ends up, that's how she pitches the whole idea to go. And so in the music box, she figures out the clue that the painter is there in the town square. He's there. And so then they go and find the painter, and it turns out it's this man who then did find his true love, and his true love is there. And it's very sweet. And so we get to find out that even though the one love didn't meet him and left him, like was in the note, he did find true love.
Yeah, and this is where I say it's bait and switch, because we didn't talk about painting because it really wasn't about painting.
Yeah, that's fair.
And like it became more of a music box and a scavenger hunt, which is like, I'm glad that we finally found out like who the dude was, and they kept saying this box was 50 years old. I was like, do the math. I'm not great at math, but this is at least 70, 75 years old now.
Yeah.
Because they're saying 1950. You're like, you're getting up there. That was
That's true.
About that.
That's a good point.
And I'm like, yes. And so like I was actually genuinely concerned. I was like, is this person still alive? And because they keep going from business to business. They're like, how long have you been here? They're like past like right after World War II. I'm like, are you sure about that? So I'm like, okay. So you had to like I was like honestly really worried. I was like, is this person still alive? Are they actually gonna find them? And then it just shows like how much that town had their traditions, or they didn't, like literally haven't changed in the last 70 plus years. That dude is still there playing music in the market every year.
Mm.
So yeah, like, all right.
So I would probably, and so yeah, they end up holding hands, and then they kiss at the end, which again I didn't really almost even need. But I would give this one just because I really did like Moody Mark. I thought that he was a funny curmudgeon. I liked Brant in this role. I wasn't expected to. I thought that France was really fun and beautiful and picturesque, very Christmassy. I loved JC. So for all those reasons, I liked Sophie. I liked the pair, what was it called again? Now I can't find it. I liked Le Père Foutard. That was really good. So for all those reasons, I will also give this one a 3.75. Yeah, so far I've been pretty positive about the Hallmark so far. So I guess I'm just everything merry and jolly right now.
Look at you. You're off to a good start.
I guess
I'll give this
yeah.
a 3.5. Mostly because I like Grant, I like Lacey. I didn't like them together.
Yeah.
So like which is fine. I was in it for the artistry, and there was like lack of all art. But the mystery scavenger hunt, that's fun, what have you. There was a lot of dancing in this. I was like, how many times did they dance?
That's true. That's true.
Which totally didn't mind. It was a movie that turned out to be something completely different than what I went into expecting.
I'd agree.
So
it was better than I expected, but I had low expectations.
Like 3.5. I wouldn't say, I would just say it wasn't what I expected it to be. So I'd say like 3.5.
Yeah.
Although I did like the kids.
Yeah, they were really cute. So let us know what you think of these two movies. We want to get your feedback, your scores, how many crowns you would give them. Please put in the comments or on Twitter. We'd love to hear what you have to say. And so Marissa, how can people find you, follow you?
Everyone can follow me at Serafini TV.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure that you are following the podcast on social media at Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast. And also on TikTok, if you want to hear, I told you about that interview I did with Barbara Niven. It's here on YouTube, but I've been posting back clips of all of our interviews with the different writers and actors and people involved in the movies. So I have clips with Barbara Niven, I have clips with Brendan Elliott, I have clips with JC on there. So, but the one where I started to cry, I got that up there on the TikTok.
I love it.
So check out the Hallmarkies Podcast TikTok. I think it's fun. And then if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews 5 stars. That really helps us a lot. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. That really helps the algorithm a lot. And most of our viewers are not subscribers. So if you're in that camp, please subscribe. It really helps us so much. And then we also have the Patreon group, which is so much fun. Such a great way to get involved, to be able to go to watch-alongs and Q&As and see and hear from talent and other fun stuff. So please check out the Patreon. You get weekly exclusive reviews from me. It's great. And then we also have the merch store where we have new designs. And I kind of had a Barbie inspiration to this year's designs, and I had fun with it. And Jessica Miller, our artist, she did a great job. And so there's some fun stuff, Hallmark inspired designs. So check it out. We would really appreciate it over the merch store. And thanks so much. This was a blast, and Merry Christmas to everybody. We'll talk to you all later. Bye.